Cyber resistance, how hackers fight dictatorships. What if the mightiest weapon against oppression isn't a gun, a sword, or an organized protest in the streets? What if it's a keyboard? Technology has handed us a double-edged sword. On one side, oppressive regimes worldwide use it to surveil, suppress, and control. On the other side, hackers, whistleblowers, and cyber revolutionaries wield it to stand up, fight back, and tear down systems of authoritarianism. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on cyber resistance, where digital warfare and activism collide. From DDoS attacks and leaked government secrets to encrypted organizing on the dark web, this is the front line of modern rebellion. And before you ask, no, we're not advocating cyber warfare. That would be illegal, and we must always abide by the law. After all, we're not billionaires. Think of this as an educational journey into the provocative world of tech-driven resistance. Buckle up. This is how hackers are fighting dictatorships. In a world increasingly driven by algorithms and digital infrastructure, cyber resistance has emerged as a key weapon for activists. Let's set the stage. Authoritarian regimes rely on technology to consolidate their power. They censor dissenting voices, surveil their citizens, and manipulate online narratives. But what happens when activists and hackers decide to fight fire with fire? Forget the cliches of underground anarchists in hoodies. It's way bigger than that. These modern rebels use methods like distributed denial of service, DDoS attacks, leaks of sensitive information, whistleblowing, and dark web organizing. Every action challenges control systems, exposing corruption, disrupting operations, and inspiring change. But how does all this actually work? Let's dive into the tactics fueling this digital rebellion. First up, DDoS attacks. Picture this. You're the oppressive dictator, enjoying your grasp on the internet. Then suddenly, a tidal wave of artificial traffic slams your servers, crashing government websites, banks, or media outlets that spew state propaganda. This chaos disrupts your control, even if just temporarily. Consider the hacker collective Anonymous. When censorship and corporate greed pushed activists to the edge, they fought back, launching Operation Payback. This series of DDoS attacks targeted powerful entities supporting online censorship, including governments and private institutions. DDoS attacks might not dismantle a dictatorship overnight, but they make a loud, defiant statement. Control isn't as absolute as you think. If DDoS attacks are a loud rebellion, leaks are the quiet storm. Hackers dig into sensitive databases and expose the corruption festering in the shadows of authoritarian regimes. A well-timed leak can spark outrage, empower citizens, and force governments to confront their darkest secrets. Take whistleblowers, for instance. From Edward Snowden revealing mass surveillance to activists within repressive systems leaking evidence of human rights abuses, this is cyber resistance at its finest. Information is power, and in the wrong hands it feeds control. But in the hands of the resistance, it's liberation. Let's talk about the individuals behind the scenes. Whistleblowers. They are the insiders who risk their lives to shine a light on tyranny. The stakes here couldn't be higher. For whistleblowers, the act of resistance isn't just disruptive, it's deeply personal, and the consequences can range from exile to imprisonment, or worse. The bravery of figures like Chelsea Manning and countless anonymous whistleblowers in authoritarian countries shows how far people will go to tear down unjust systems. Their leaks have armed activists, sparked revolutions, and made it clear that even the most impenetrable regimes aren't immune to exposure. Now let's shine a light on the darkest corner of modern activism, the dark web. Oppressive regimes thrive on control, but activists and dissidents have found a way to escape their radar through encrypted platforms and hidden forums. The dark web isn't just for illegal trade, it's also where revolution happens. Activists use encrypted networks to communicate, organize protests, share intel, and evade state surveillance. Platforms like Tor provide anonymity, leveling the playing field even in environments where governments monitor every move. When it's nearly impossible to protest openly, technology offers an underground channel for resistance to thrive. No discussion on cyber resistance is complete without examining those on the front lines. Let's look at two standout players in the movement. Anonymous and the Belarusian Cyber Partisans. These groups have shown us what's possible when activists leverage technology to fight oppression. They need no introduction. Anonymous is a worldwide collective of hackers known for its anarchistic fight against injustice, often using DDoS attacks to make their point. One example? Their fight against censorship during Operation Payback, when they targeted organizations like Visa and PayPal for their financial blockades against WikiLeaks. But Anonymous isn't just about disruption for its own sake. Behind the Guy Fawkes mask lies a driving philosophy of exposing corruption and dismantling oppressive systems. While their tactics have been divisive, few can argue with the impact Anonymous has had on public awareness about power and control in the digital age. On a more targeted scale, we have the Belarusian Cyber Partisans, a group born from the people's resistance to President Alexander Lukashenko's authoritarian regime. These hackers turned digital freedom fighters infiltrated government servers, exposing personal data of key state officials, complicit in human rights abuses. But they didn't stop there. They also disrupted police databases and hacked railway systems to hinder the transport of Russian troops during times of regional conflict. Their actions showcase the potential of localized cyber resistance to not just challenge, but actively destabilize oppressive regimes. At the heart of cyber resistance lies an ethical gray zone. Are these hackers modern-day Robin Hoods, stealing information from the rich and powerful to return freedom to the people? Or are they overstepping into realms of anti-democratic chaos? This isn't just a philosophical debate. Cyber resistance is inherently disruptive, and sometimes that disruption has unintended consequences, destabilized economies, personal privacy risks, or even harming innocent civilians. Yet, against dictatorships, disruption might be the most accessible weapon people have. So the question is this: when the stakes are freedom versus oppression, and the battlefield is the internet, how far is too far? Technology is the ultimate double agent. While it empowers activists and hackers, governments are also harnessing it to tighten their grip. Surveillance systems, internet shutdowns, and AI-driven censorship tools are becoming staples of modern authoritarianism. Cyber resistance, then, isn't just about hacking into a system. It is a constant chess match against regimes that are learning to defend and weaponize. In this game, whoever adapts faster wins. So what does all this mean for the rest of us? Most of us aren't hackers, and let's be real, most of us wouldn't know where to begin. But what we can learn from groups like Anonymous and the Belarusian Cyber Partisans is the value of creativity, courage, and community. Technology gives us tools we could never have imagined. Tools that can amplify resistance, even against the most oppressive systems. The question we each have to ask is, how far are we willing to go to use those tools in service of a better world? This video isn't just about hackers or activists. It's about all of us living under systems of power that may, at times, feel immovable. Cyber resistance reminds us that there is no such thing as absolute control. All systems have vulnerabilities, and sometimes all it takes is a keystroke to begin a revolution. So what can you do? First, start thinking critically about your digital world. Who holds the power, and how is it being wielded? Second, spread awareness. Help others understand the stakes of what's happening in cyberspace. And finally, don't underestimate your own ability to make an impact, even on the smallest scale. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this activist-fueled deep dive into the world of cyber resistance. This is the battle for freedom playing out in the digital age, and it's clear, the revolution might just be live-streamed or encrypted. If you found value in these ideas, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and make sure you're notified when we drop more thought-provoking content. And as always, eat the rich.